Finally, we've come up with yet another reason why South Park should be banned.
Reason number 459. When played backwards, Kenny's dialogue is satanic.
It's no secret that the majority of people think of South Park as that show that makes fun of celebrities and has offensive jokes. But this perception of the show is only a result of the initial medium in which the show is experienced. These mediums, along with the type of fan one is, impact their experience of the show. Some people initially experience the show on TikTok and see the show as a collection of randomly generated moments that are sectioned off into little 60-second clips with thorough surface gameplay underneath.
Watch South Park every Wednesday night at 10, only at Comedy Central.
Some people initially view the boys on TV, mostly original viewings on Comedy Central. These viewings contain advertisements, and these people have the most root form of the show, experience the show in the medium it was designed for. Some people initially view the show through HBO Max, and likely were introduced to it by watching it with somebody else. These people are able to watch the 2000s through the perspective of Matt and Trey in a matter of weeks or even days. Personally, I fall into the streaming on HBO Max category, and therefore, this has led to a specific experience of the show for me personally. For example, I started by watching the show by episodic IMDb rating. I would find them, download them, and watch them on the school bus. Since I would not watch the show in chronological order, I might miss a joke or two in certain episodes because those jokes are relevant to the current season or multi-episode plot. I could also see some characters in some episodes, but then not find them in other episodes without knowing why. For example, Chef, who left the show after the 8th season, all episodes after the 8th season do not include him. Some TikTok viewers could use the same logic and do the same thing that I did. To see the show, they check the comments, find the episode, and start a binge of the show. But a different thing happens while watching. A different core motivation and a different association with the show itself. It's like the Steve Lacy concert thing where everyone sang the chorus to Bad Habit but did not know any other part of the song. This happens with the episodes as well. You know the funny thing you laughed at is in an episode. And you may spend episodes or even seasons watching the show and maybe even enjoying these episodes. But when that clip you saw on TikTok is finally seen in an episode, that dopamine hits again. Now those who start on Comedy Central and have watched the show's actual air have spent a lot more time with the show within the show's run itself. While I would watch an entire season in a week, they have to wait that whole week for one single episode, and those episodes are only shown during a certain time of the year. This allows these viewers to experience the topical nature of the show through the show itself, experiencing the effects of the on-screen chaos in their own lives, and I think these are the strongest fans of the show because the show impacts them on a day-to-day basis. Another thing about these fans is that their experience with watching an episode is often an unrepeatable event. Of course, they can watch the episode itself over again, but the original airing on Comedy Central, knowing that yesterday Matt and Trey were sweating balls to finish it, just makes it that more important in one's daily life. The streaming fans are experiencing the same culturally relevant events as part of the past. And sometimes this creates a distance in the topical thing that was happening at that time and the understanding of the issue as a viewer from the future. But what sets the streaming and the OG viewers apart from the TikTok users is that when they see these offensive or off-color moments in the show, they understand that they are often a result of the plot and have thematic relevance and are not for shock value. For example, Cartman often uses the current social landscape for personal gain and is generally the example of how not to raise your kid. But this is expressed through extreme and polarized measures, which leads to the assumption that South Park is attempting to be offensive when you only see these moments in TikTok videos. For a new and younger fan like myself, there are parts of the show that I really get along with more. Although most believe that seasons 18 onwards are a low point in the show, quality-wise, the personal association and feel I have for that time in my own life trumps the lack of quality, since it gives me a device to reevaluate that time in my own life. With the current state of the relationship between TV and the internet, places like YouTube bring about a place for the discussion of shows like South Park. For example, compilations of the show on YouTube can give OG viewers a feeling of nostalgia. Maybe they were going through law school and South Park was how they winded down at the end of a day. These videos can give them a nostalgia hit. Although there are major differences in how fans discover and perceive the show, one thing that is the same for all fans, hardcore and casual, for any initial viewing medium, is to see a piece of culture right now and think South Park should make an episode about this. At the end of the day, there's no right way to watch, find, or experience a show. I'm just taking observations I've had from discussing the show with people in real life and on the internet, and watching how people talk about the show as a result of how they discovered it. I'm attempting to take my thoughts and present them in a nuanced and presentable way.